You ever get that feeling, that little voice in your head telling you you're not where you're supposed to be? You feel like you're stuck in place and everyone else is just zooming past you? Well, if you have, you are so not alone. Today we're going to unpack that exact feeling. It's a real thing, and it even has a name: milestone anxiety. It all starts with a thought, just like this one, doesn't it? It's that 3 a.m. gut-wrenching moment when your brain is just spinning out of control, replaying all the things you think you should have done by now. It's such a powerful and, honestly, an almost universal experience in our crazy connected world.
So let's actually put a name to this thing. Let's really dig in and understand what's going on underneath the surface.
And here it is: milestone anxiety. Now, it's not some formal medical diagnosis, but boy, does it perfectly describe that pressure, right? The pressure to hit all those traditional life goals, the career, the partner, the house, all inside some imaginary timeline that feels like it's just closing in on you. And that pressure, it takes a very real, very negative toll on us.
And hey, if you're thinking this is just a you problem, get ready for this. A whopping 83%, 83% of Gen Z feel this exact same pressure to hit those life milestones. So let that sink in for a second. This isn't some personal failing. It's a massive shared experience for an entire generation.
So what's at the heart of this milestone anxiety? Well, it's basically supercharged by a concept we all know way too well: FOMO. That deep down fear that everyone, everywhere is living a better, more rewarding life, and you're just missing out. It's really the engine driving so much of this pressure we feel. But here's where it gets really interesting. This anxiety, it's not entirely new, not at all. To really get it, we have to travel way back, like deep into our evolutionary past.
See, the truth is, we're basically running ancient software on modern hardware. Our brains are fundamentally wired for a world that doesn't exist anymore. A world of saber-toothed tigers and tribal politics, not TikTok feeds and career ladders.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Back then, anxiety was a survival tool. It kept you safe from, being eaten. Fitting in with your tribe literally meant you got to live. Getting kicked out, that was a death sentence. Well, today, that exact same survival instinct is firing off, but the threats have changed. Now our brains are constantly scanning for social pressure and the danger of falling behind our peers.
Okay, so if our brains are already primed for this kind of anxiety, what's pouring gasoline all over the fire? Yeah, you already know. It's the ultimate modern amplifier of all social pressure: social media.
This is what's known as the highlight reel effect, and we all do it. We're constantly comparing our everyday, behind-the-scenes lives with all the mess and the uncertainty to everyone else's perfectly curated, perfectly filtered, and perfectly edited public highlight reel. Of course, that creates a totally distorted benchmark for how we think we're doing.
And the crazy part is, we can't really help it. Way back in 1954, a guy named Leon Festinger figured this out. He called it social comparison theory. Turns out we have this fundamental, hardwired need to measure ourselves against other people just to figure out where we stand. The only difference is, social media now gives us an infinite 24/7 global pool of people to compare ourselves against.
Now, this is the really wild part. The technology itself is actually designed to make this feeling worse. See, the algorithms don't just show you random stuff. They're built to keep you engaged. And how do they do that? By feeding you the most emotionally charged, the most idealized posts, which creates this little dopamine loop that keeps you scrolling and comparing yourself upwards over and over and over again.
So this isn't just about feeling bad for a few minutes. This constant cycle of comparison and anxiety has serious, totally measurable consequences on our health. I mean, just take a second and look at these numbers. The parallel is just stark. Since 2010, which is right around when smartphones and social media really took over, reported anxiety among young adults has shot up 139%, and at the exact same time, major depression among teenage girls has climbed 145%. You just can't ignore that connection. And tragically, the consequences get even more severe. The suicide rate for young girls between the ages of 10 and 14 has spiked by 167% in that same time frame. This isn't just a statistic. It really shows the profound gravity of the mental health crisis we're facing. And it's not only our mental health that takes a hit. This whole phone-based lifestyle has a real physical toll, too. Everything from sleep deprivation and sitting around more, to digital eye strain, and even addiction like withdrawal when we try to put the phone down. So, the big question is, what on earth can we do about all this? Well, the answer might actually lie in a really fundamental shift in how we see things, moving away from a life based on goals and shifting toward a life guided by values.
Okay, let's really break this down. Think of goals as destinations. Buy a house, get that promotion. They're finish lines. And once you cross them, well, the race is over. It can actually feel kind of empty, right? But values are totally different. They're not a destination, they're a direction. Things like kindness, integrity, curiosity. It's not about what you achieve. It's all about how you're living, day in and day out.
I love this metaphor. A compass doesn't give you a finish line, it just gives you a direction, a true north. It means that no matter where you are or what chaos is swirling around you, your values can always guide your very next step. They give you a constant source of meaning, whether you're having an amazing day or a really terrible one.
So how do you actually do this? First, you have to get really clear on what your values are. And this isn't just picking some nice words. Think about times you felt truly proud or fulfilled. What value is living underneath that feeling? Second, start to weave them into tiny, everyday actions. So if a value is connection, maybe that just means putting your phone away at dinner. If it's curiosity, maybe you read one new article a day. And third, use them when you feel lost. When you're anxious about a big choice, just ask yourself, which option aligns better with my core values? It brings so much clarity to the chaos.
And that really brings us to our final thought. It's a question that's absolutely worth sitting with for a minute. If you stopped chasing a checklist of milestones that was probably written by someone else and instead you just followed the compass of what truly matters to you, what would your very next step be?